Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Rangers get shut out in Game 1 against the Florida Panthers. They lose by a score of 3-0. And this game was 1-0 for a very long time. Matthew Tkachuk scored in the first period. But, just not a great game by the Rangers. They didn't generate a whole lot of offense. Sure, in the third period, there were some chances. We'll talk about that. But it wasn't as if Sergei Bobrovsky was tested a whole lot. Bobrovsky makes all 23 saves on 23 shots. But this is the first time the Rangers have trailed in a series this playoffs, as obviously, round 1, they get the sweep. Round 2, they win the first 3 games. But this one, they're down 1-0. And as I said, in the series preview, that I expected that there might be some road success in this series. Florida's a very good road team. And they aren't as good at home for whatever the reason, but they're excellent on the road, whether that be regular season or recent playoff history. And this is just a step up in competition as far as I'm concerned. Carolina was a really good team, but Florida's just a different animal. And the Rangers are really going to have to make a lot of adjustments and improvements for next game in order, they got to try to make it tougher on Bobrovsky, get to the tougher areas of the ice right in front of the net, and play a simple game, play a smart game. And, I think that while Game 1's discouraging, there's still a lot of series to go. But, I'm not overly surprised. I have a lot of respect for this Florida Panther team. They are battle-tested, and it's going to be important to win Game 2. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to say it's a must-win, but it's pretty close. You don't want to go down 2-0 heading into, Game 3. And so we'll see how it goes. But the good news is when I look back at, conference finals in Ranger history, I guess somewhat recent Ranger history, where they were home. And look, this is, I'm saying this, take it with a grain of salt, obviously, but 1994 conference final versus the Devils. Game 1, Rangers lose. They end up winning the series. 2012 versus the Devils, they win Game 1 and they lose the series. 2015 versus the Lightning, the Rangers win Game 1 and they lose the series. So maybe the recipe is lose Game 1 and then, it'll lead to success. Obviously, I say that joking, but hopefully history does repeat itself in that way. But yeah, Ranger lineup, it featured Filipino. He, it was his first home game, in a very long time. And it was good to see him back. As I think to next game, I definitely wouldn't mind getting Matt Rempe in there. I don't know who it would be for. I don't know if it'll even happen, but I think it's something you have to consider. On defense, I know they're not going to make any changes. I really wish that Zach Jones could find his way in the lineup. I really think they could use, some better puck movement from the back end. Look, Adam Fox right now clearly is not 100%. It's just, we know he's not the most mobile defenseman to begin with, but it's just like, this is a special Norris Trophy winning and always in the running type defenseman that just has not looked quite right. And I don't know. I wish there was a way to get Jones in the lineup, but I know that conversation is not worth having because it's not going to happen. Whereas the Rempe conversation, I think that one's more realistic. First and foremost, let's see how Filipino makes it out of this game. He seemed no worse for wear, although he did take a pretty big hit at the very end of the game. And it kind of had me wondering, why was he out there? I understand you want to get the bottom 6 out there when the game was over down 3-0, but maybe you could have gone 4th line and not gone Hedl, because look, the fact of the matter is that any hit that he takes, it's going to be a risk as far as what that means moving forward. But I guess it'll be interesting to see what Laviolette does with the lineup. There was some line changes made during the game. Ultimately, by the end of it, they kind of went back to the original, but we did see a couple of different things, a little bit in the second period, a little bit in the third. But there's not a whole lot of good to say across the board. Honestly, there's no player where I could say, they had a really good game. I mean, even Igor, it was tough. And look, did he make some good saves along the way? Yes, but I think that first goal by Tkachuk, he wants to have that one back. In terms of the Verhaeghe goal, which went off of Lafreniere's stick in the third period, the way that Igor handled that was not great. And I noticed that as well. He just didn't seem, in terms of his puck handling behind the net and in general, just wasn't quite sharp. And look, you don't score any goals, so this game's not on Igor. But if we're being fair, when you're looking for near perfection, it certainly wasn't quite there. And there were a lot of and the Rangers did have opportunities. There was a Braden Schneider breakaway where he hits the post. There was a Will Cooley breakaway where not a great attempt, and Bobrovsky makes the save. There was a really, really good chance for fucking Alex Wenberg. And that's really one of the last play. Look, I can't believe how inept he is offensively. It's crazy. Like, I mean, when getting him from Seattle, I knew he was more of a defensive first player at this point of his career, but like, it's just the goal scoring ability is just completely non-existent. And so he had a good chance late in the game. And then after that, Lafreniere hits it, rings it off the post. So it's not to say the Rangers didn't have some chances. Like as much as I thought the Rangers, like they would admit, like they didn't generate a whole lot. They were one shot away in multiple occasions of tying this game. And then who knows what, like this game could have turned at any point. That said, it never felt great. Just something about it that, the crowd never really got into it. I mean, they tried. And there was a moment in the third period where there was a disallowed goal, the right call, where the Panthers scored, but they called goalie interference on Ryan Lomberg, which took it off the board. But they just could never really get going. And so, yeah, it was many players. I thought Zibanejad had a rough night. Kreider, after his incredible Game 6 last game, was very quiet. Didn't really notice him much. Artemi Panarin, does on the first Panther goal. He kind of turns it over in the offensive zone, and it leads to them going the other way. So we can go across the board. It wasn't great, and that's the result you get. So let's see here. First period, very low event hockey. And the Rangers just didn't get much going. I thought that the Rangers, the most chances the Rangers got was in the third period. First period, not a whole lot. And shots on goal in that first, 9-5 Florida. So only 5 shots on goal for the Rangers. At 10:26, a really, really bad play by Jacob Trouba. He hooks Alexander Barkov. And what happens is he turns it over behind the net for no reason. Just kind of a clumsy play, and then it leads to him having to hook Barkov. Luckily, that Ranger penalty kill continues to do the job, as in this game they were the Ranger penalty kill 3 for 3. So that continues to be the one constant, is that PK just is really doing very, very well. So they do kill that off. But then at 16:26, the Panthers take the lead. It's Matthew Tkachuk scoring his 5th goal of the playoffs from Forsling and Verhaeghe. And this is a play where Panarin, there's a little bit of I wouldn't even say an on-man rush, but Panarin stopped moving his feet. And that's the problem. When Panarin is in that mode of just sort of sitting back and waiting for things to come, it's always bad. He needs to move to the middle of the ice and keep it going. And he kind of slowed down. They turned the puck over, and eventually it ends up on the stick of Matthew Tkachuk, and Adam Fox kind of unfortunately causes a bit of a screen. And I'm not sure if it went off of Fox's stick. Tkachuk takes the shot, and I can't tell if Fox got a piece of it, but Igor, it's one I still think that he should have had, where he kind of just mistimes it, and it goes off of him. It goes off like kind of under his armpit maybe, or shoulder area, upper body. And it goes in, and it looked off. It's one that he would normally stop and doesn't. And so the Panthers take that 1-0 lead. And look, that first goal was big. Panthers were able to play with a certain style, and they were able to, execute their system a little bit better, I think, with the lead. And so Florida has that 1-0 lead there. So it's 1-0 Panthers after 1. We go to the second period, and, the chances, I wouldn't even say they increased a whole lot. Shots in the second period were 9-7 Florida. And in the second period, a couple of penalties taken, one by each team. At 7:43, Jack Roslovic, a high sticks Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And it was not a smart penalty. I will say, I don't even think Ekman-Larsson knew it happened, because normally with high sticks, it hits the player in the face. This one kind of got him, I guess, on the side of the helmet. So by the letter of the law, it was the right call, but little bit weak, but again, not smart by Roslovic at the same time. But the Rangers do a nice job on the PK as they are able to shut that down. So we're midway through the game, still 1-0 Panthers, and eventually the Rangers get a power play. And mind you, that I think it was early in the second where Will Cooley gets that mini breakaway. It was in the first period after the Tkachuk goal where Braden Schneider gets his breakaway. And so that was a nice little pass by Kakko to Schneider to set him loose, and he goes off the post for the Cooley one. I think it was Roslovic that set him up. But late in the second, Sam Bennett's called for holding the stick. He holds the stick of Adam Fox at 18:34, and there were some, even though the power play didn't score for the Rangers tonight, there were some good chances. One that really comes to mind was towards the end of the period, end of the second. It was a shot by Mika Zibanejad. I forget who set him up, but Zibanejad, he had an open net, and I think it ends up maybe going off of, I don't know if it got to Bobrovsky, but he kind of shoots it a little bit wide. It might have gone off a Trocheck in front, but that was a good chance that was set up, and they don't convert. And so it is a 1-0 Panther lead going to the third. There was a little bit of that Ranger power play left, but it gets killed off. And in the third period, it must have been, I'm not sure of the exact timing of it. It was the first half of the period for sure, where there's a disallowed goal, like I said, where it would have been a goal, I believe, I think Ekman Larsson took the shot, but Lomber was in front and interfered with Shesterkin. Now, Lindgren hits Lomber, but Lomber already was in the crease when this happens. And so even if Lindgren doesn't touch him, there was already some contact there. So they make the right call, and it's overturned to no goal. And, the Rangers, they were doing a little bit better, not good enough. And at 10:28, not a great penalty by Alexis Lafreniere. He hooks Dmitry Kulikov. Now, I will say before that, there was a play where they could have maybe called holding the stick, where Trocheck had his stick held. But Lafreniere is called for hooking. Ranger penalty gets the job done, kills it off. And then that's where Jacob Trouba has a nice hit, and it leads to the Rangers going the other way. And there was a lot going on where Alex Wemberg had a really good chance to score, but Bobrovsky's able to kind of get a stick on it. Just Wember, there's just not enough aggression. There's not enough. Again, he's very passive, and that's just kind of his style. And then Trouba was kind of in there. He gets a shot blocked, and Lafreniere just rings it off the post. And you're just that one big goal away from tying it up at one. And then at that point, who knows? That never happens. But the Rangers do get a power play, 13-11, 2 men in the ice on Florida. And that's where it's like the Rangers needed to take advantage of that, but they're unable to score. They had some decent zone time. I can't think of a prime opportunity that existed on there. There might have been, but it's not coming to mind. Maybe Mika might have had a chance, but ultimately it's killed off. And so with less than 5 minutes left, Florida eventually takes a 2-0 lead at 16-12. It's an own goal. It goes off the stick of Lafreniere. So Verhaeghe scores his seventh unassisted. What happens here is Igor either needs to just let it go. He chases the puck. Gustafsson was going to get there. It was a race between, I think, Gustafsson and Verhaeghe. Gustafsson was going to get there, or Igor should have given it to Gustafsson. Instead of Igor gets it and kind of places it in an area where Verhaeghe is easily able to corral it. And then it's a situation where Verhaeghe goes to net, and there was another Panther player. So it was a pass by Verhaeghe. Lafreniere tries to stop it. It goes off his stick and 5-hole past Shesterkin. So just, a pretty ugly situation there. Just a straight own goal. So Lafreniere hits the post when you're looking for him to score earlier than this one. It goes off him and in. But again, Igor needed to be a little bit smarter with how he handled that whole situation. And so the Rangers don't even have an opportunity to be down 1 with a goalie pull. They do pull a goalie down 2. They, again, they're moving the puck around for a little bit. I think in that case, Zibanejad had a chance. But ultimately, Sam Bennett gets an empty net goal at 18:41. Empty net goal, Sam Bennett. Third goal of the playoffs from Tkachuk. And the Panthers win 3-0. Sergei Bobrovsky makes all 23 stops. Again, I didn't think that he was tested much. I thought it was an easy night for him. But still, give him credit for the shutout. And so now game 2. New situation for this Ranger team. Down 1-0 in the series. All season long, they've responded when they've had to. And I'd consider this one a really, really big game. Now, look, can you go down 2-0 and win? Still in the series? You can. But this is a really good Florida team. You're at home. No shame in being 1-1 going to Florida for game 3. That's the way I see it. Look, would you have loved to be up 2-0? Of course. But that was going to come to an end. I don't love losing game 1. I don't love how they played. I think, there's definitely reasons to be discouraged. but hopefully they can turn this around, make the adjustments, and come out and play a much stronger game too. And if they can win that game, then you're 1-1 and it becomes a best of 5, and you're right there. So as bad as things are now, you just can't let it snowball. But, this is a really good, solid, steady, really defensive first Florida Panther team. And even though they have a lot of star talent on the team, when I look at them, they're just really, really, their structure's great under Paul Maurice, and they're stingy. You're not going to get many chances against them. And, when you get them, you got to take advantage of it. So definitely a stinker in game 1. Rangers get blanked. They are shut out by the Florida Panthers 3-0. And they will hope to turn things around at Madison Square Garden for game 2.